All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. Today I am talking about whether you should apply in round 3 and take advantage of all the deadline extensions, GMAT, test score waivers to get in under the round 3 wire this year. This is the topic for today. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Angela Guido. I have dedicated the last 15 years of my career to supporting MBAs. Let's just get right into the nitty gritty. So why are schools extending rounds and waiving the GMAT? Well, if you think about how admissions usually works, schools are admitting the vast majority of their class in rounds 1 and 2. And round 3 is typically used to help them round out the class profile, to find rare candidates that they haven't been able to find enough of, to admit people who are surprising and interesting to them. But usually the vast majority of the class has already been filled by the end of round 2, and this year, coming into round 3, was no exception. The difference is a lot of the people that they have already admitted, for whatever reason, are not going to show up for class in the fall. It could be because they're nervous about classes starting online and they just are rethinking the MBA in general, or they're rethinking their timing. They're looking for a deferral. They want to keep their job. They don't want to leave their job in this difficult situation economically. It could be because they're coming from abroad and the visa situation is a little bit up in the air. They're not sure whether or not they're going to be able to get their visas in time. And there's still a lot that's unknown. But at the moment, schools are really expecting the likelihood that some people that they've accepted that they really want to join the class will ultimately not be able to. And so they're looking to fill that hole, and potentially the person filling that hole could be you. That's the potentially exciting aspect of what's happening right now, is that there is a lot more opportunity in round 3 at schools who have extended their round 3 deadlines than there has been in the past. So the question is, should you go for it? Is this your moment? Should you go for it now, or should you wait? Well, the first thing to think about is what the competitive landscape is going to look like going forward. And if we look at what has happened in the last 2 kind of downturns for the US economy, the first being in 2001, the second being in 2008, 2009, what we see is that when the crisis hits, like when things get really bad, people tend not to move. They get paralyzed. So if you look at what happened to grad school applications when the economy started to turn down in 2008, you actually saw applications kind of follow that trend and go down a little bit. But then once it became apparent that things weren't going to turn around very quickly, people realized that the opportunity cost of going to school was lower. Maybe more people had lost their jobs and didn't have great prospects. So grad school applications went up dramatically, not the first year, but the second year when things were economically haywire. So what I expect is that it's entirely possible that applications for round 1, 2, and 3 of this coming year will be higher, because the crisis that we're currently facing is dramatically bigger. The unemployment rate right now is a lot higher than it was immediately following the crash in 2008. So we may see applications go up in the next year, but they will almost certainly be up the year after. So this year in this equation is the 2020-2021 season, and next year is the 2021-2022 season. And I definitely expect applications to be way up over a year from now. So if you're thinking about making a move and the MBA is on your horizon, I think this year and possibly even round 3 are likely going to be more attractive than future years. This is just my prediction based on what happened before. Obviously, we've never seen a situation like the one we're in, so who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But I definitely think that fortune favors the brave. If you think about what happened during the Great Depression, we went through some really difficult times, but it was during and just after that difficult period that we saw Social Security get invented, unemployment benefits emerged for the first time, and the world's first billionaires emerged out of the Great Depression. So crisis sows the seeds of opportunity. Fortune favors the brave. If you're looking at getting an MBA, now's the time to take it really seriously. But that said, there's no free lunch. So unfortunately, school standards don't change. they're still looking to submit really high quality applicants. And, if you're a strong applicant, there are opportunities for you now that may not have existed before. But it doesn't mean that that if you're not a quality and capable applicant, that you're going to have more success, because schools, in their move to extend the round 3 deadlines and waive testing requirements, are really their attempt to accommodate for the difficulties that people are facing now. They don't want anyone to be discouraged from applying who would otherwise apply because of the fact that they can't get a great recommendation in the short term, or they aren't able to take the test because they don't have the technology to take the at-home GMAT or GRE, or for whatever reason. But it doesn't mean that they're going to change their admissions standards, and that's really important to understand. So if you want my advice, so this is just my take on who should really go for round 3, I think it's number 1, if you find yourself currently unemployed, so you lost your job due to the coronavirus crisis, and you're looking ahead to the employment market and it doesn't look great, and you've been thinking about getting an MBA anyway, now is a really good moment to go for it. Because the truth is, applying to business school in the next 4 weeks or 6 weeks is potentially a lot easier than getting a new job, and it will allow you to submit your application without having a huge unemployment gap on your resume, which if you wait until round 1 or round 2, that gap might just continue to increase if you're not able to find a new job. So anyone who is thinking about an MBA is a strong candidate and is currently unemployed, now's a really good time to go for it. If you're struggling for the GMAT and you are otherwise a strong or interesting candidate, and you feel like schools would take you very seriously even without a GMAT or a GRE score, then now is a good moment to go for it with the score waivers and score extensions. Not every school is waiving it. Notably, Kellogg has waived the requirement. Cornell is in some ways waiving it. And then most schools are creating a grace period. So you can apply, they'll consider your application, and then they may require the test score just a bit later, or they might even give you a conditional acceptance. They might issue a decision before you get the test score. The way to check that out is to look at all of the school's websites. If you look in the links below, we have a link to our what's changed in round 3 spreadsheet that you can check out and peruse all the different links and all the different changes. We're going to try to keep that up to date. Then U.S. citizens and people with work authorization, it's not that internationals shouldn't apply. I'll talk about internationals in a minute, but given the current uncertainty regarding visa timelines, international applicants that are admitted, say, in the middle of June or in July, are facing the same challenges that people who were admitted in January will face with regards to getting their student visas in time. So if you're in the US, you have work authorization in the US, that's an even stronger signal that you should go for it, because obviously you're not going to have to deal with those challenges. Who could go for it? So these are the people who really should. The people who could go for it are international candidates who are excited about the idea and kind of fit the criteria on the page before. You're excited, you're more or less ready, you're a strong candidate, and you want to just give round 3 a shot. Schools have all said that they will not reject any candidates that they really want to have as part of their class just because of this international visa situation. So if you are admitted in round 3 as an international candidate, schools will work with you to get the visa organized as quickly as possible. And if not, if it can't be organized by the time school starts, many schools are creating an online opportunity to begin and then to get to campus as quickly as possible. Basically, schools are really committed to getting the quality candidates that they always want and need in this time, just like always. So they're going to do what they can do to work with you. And then anyone who feels like you're ready to go, you could apply in round 1, but you like the idea of accelerating the MBA. You like the idea of jumping on this opportunity to move faster in your career. And I think this is ultimately the best barometer. Is when you look at what's happening, you look at the news, you see that schools have extended deadlines, and maybe you've been thinking about the MBA for a long time, or maybe it just came onto your radar, and you think, gosh, I really just like the idea of using the next 3 to 4 weeks and just submitting an application and seeing what happens. And if you feel that way, then go for it. Schools have been pretty transparent about the fact that they will not penalize you for reapplications. So if you're not admitted in round 3, applying the following season, applying like in round 1 or round 2 next year, There's really no downside. They'll take you seriously as a reapplicant. Here's my advice about how to approach round three. So my guidance is to not apply to all of your favorite schools in round three. Do at most 2 or 3 applications, and you want to reserve a few applications in the event that the class is full and for whatever reason you're not able to get in round three. You don't want to be reapplying to all schools next year. You want to have some new schools that you haven't yet applied for, that are new and that will consider you freshly. And then you also want to be ready to reapply to those schools that you don't get into in round three, and do your best to show that something has changed between now and then. So whether that's improved test scores, you get a promotion at work, new volunteer stuff, really anything counts. But you will feel a lot better answering that additional reapplicant essay that asks you what has changed since you last applied, if something has in fact changed. So keep that in mind as you approach round three, is that you kind of want to be controlling for you kind of want to be controlling for what you're going to do next year in case it doesn't work out. And then here's my advice about who probably shouldn't be applying in round three: candidates with major weaknesses and no test scores. So almost every school is very transparent about the fact that they consider candidates holistically. They put everything in context and try to make a decision on the complete person, not just on the GPA or the GMAT or the number of promotions or what are all the things that you can put on paper about a candidate. However, the whole thing does come together to create a complete picture. So for many candidates who have weaknesses, a very strong test score can help alleviate concerns that the admissions committee might have about your ability to do well in the program, to get recruited for the jobs that you want, to be successful in your career. And without that test score, you might actually be a little bit more vulnerable. So think carefully about your strengths and weaknesses as you approach round three. And then finally, if you're an international candidate who is already pretty set on applying in round one next year, those people I think should just stay the course. I think you're going to have an easier chance in round one than round three, not necessarily in terms of admission, but in terms of really being able to have the MBA experience that you want on time and without all the hassles of potentially arriving late or not having a visa arranged in time or all of that. So my most important piece of advice here is really just to trust yourself. If you look at the opportunity to apply in round three as an opportunity and it excites you, then go for it. And if it doesn't work out, you'll figure that out and you'll reapply next year, no problem. If you look at the possibility of applying round three and it fills you with anxiety and stress and you just think, oh my God, I didn't need one more thing to worry about, then put it out of your mind and stay the course. Apply in round one or round two next year. The MBA is not going anywhere. It's a degree that will last for the rest of your life. So really apply when you're ready. And for some of you, that's now. And for some of you, that's round one. And for some of you, it's even years into the future. So just trust yourself and make the right decision. As always, if you want to talk to us and find out about how we can help you succeed in round three, please sign up for a free MBA strategy call with me and my team. We work really hard to invest in our clients' long-term success. We don't just help you put together an application. We help you deepen your self-awareness, to choose the right schools for you and negotiate scholarships, and then even to prepare for MBA recruiting. So we're really looking to invest in the next generation of the world's leaders. And if you think that's you, please sign up for a call with us now. Thank you so much for joining. This has been Webinar Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have some more great content in the future.